Well, I think the fun answer to that, though there's a lot of truth, is that I failed at a lot of things for long enough that you just start getting better at, well, there's two things that happen. One is you reinvent yourself by doing new things. And the other is you actually, through the failures, I ended up learning how to do those things better. So, it's an accumulation. I didn't intend to, be a novelist and a screenwriter and an actor and a playwright. But one thing sort of naturally led to the other, in the sense that, I wrote screenplays for a long time and eked out a living doing that, and a lot of those films didn't get made, and I got so frustrated that I decided I was going to write a play, and then I started writing plays and sort of didn't stop writing screenplays. But so it's that sort of a thing. It's an evolution. One thing evolves into the next, and I have been in the situation where I haven't really let any of those things go that I used to do. I still do those. The most rewarding thing, I think, is to recognize that people are connecting to what it is that I'm doing. I write to connect to the audience, to people, to readers, and the fact that that seems to be happening is just, at times, just seems miraculous to me. Yeah, I think that my experience working in the film business is a good example. The first script I wrote was a film called The War Within, which ended up getting nominated for an Indie Spirit, and it came out of the gates thinking, wow, this is gonna go well, and then proceeded to write 8 screenplays, none of which got made. But the interesting thing about that was, every one of those stories, I worked with people who taught me something about story. And because the films weren't getting made, it's going to sound paradoxical, it almost kind of made me more open, because I kept feeling like, well, maybe I'm just not getting something. There's something that I'm not understanding, so let me continue to try to get this right. And it turned out that the dynamics of what was getting films made and not films not made wasn't necessarily what I was bringing to the table. But in approaching it as an opportunity to constantly try to get better, because if I got better, then maybe that would mean the film would get made, I ended up becoming a better writer. So I think it's one of those things where attitude made a huge difference. Rather than sort of saying, oh, this crazy business, or I hate this business, I just constantly carried that responsibility on myself, knowing, I think, that that was the only thing that was going to make me become a better artist. Stick with it. It takes time. And I would say that not everybody, but a lot of people don't always understand, and I was certainly one of these people, that I don't really know that much about what it is I'm doing. I talk about dividing my career up into sort of 4 sections, and I've basically been a writer, writing for movies, writing for the theater, writing fiction. I'd say that the first period of my career was I was writing really awfully, but I thought I was writing really well. And the second period of my career was I was writing really awfully, but I started to realize I was writing poorly and started to try to get better. Third period was I'm writing better, but nobody's paying any attention. And the fourth period has been, I guess I'm writing better and folks are paying attention. And each one of those periods was years. So you have to give yourself the time to be able to develop. There's no substitute for that. Folks talk a lot about networking. And networking to me is kind of a misnomer in a way. I think one of the things that I notice that a lot of young folk don't really get about promoting themselves in this very self-promoting culture is that developing relationships with people under the basis of mutual self-interest isn't always the best way to maintain a long-term relationship. That is to say, if all you have to offer somebody who can help you is that you might be able to plug them, that's not the foundation for something that's really going to be able to build over time. And so networking to me has meant isolating or finding people who you admire or you want to be working with or you want to get feedback from, and not trying to get anything other than feedback. Really being open to the feedback that you can get from somebody you admire can be the foundation of a relationship that eventually can lead to something. But trying to get that thing that you often don't even know what it is you need or want at a particular stage from someone is only eventually going to burn that bridge. So it's just a different perspective on what it means to develop relationships, because show business is about relationships. And it turns out that if you have the right relationships over time, when you need help, you actually don't have to ask for it, because the people are already in place to help you. But that takes time, and it takes a different perspective on how to develop relationships in the business.